Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. The New York Times says that the U.S. has identified the person responsible for sabotaging the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, but the U.S. government does not endorse the report. Other countries either deny that the investigation is conclusive, or they say that they are completely unaware of it. Jerome Powell said at the congressional hearing that the economic data is clear that the Fed should continue to increase interest rates. Several recent moves by the Florida governor have been interpreted as a campaign for a 2024 run, but so far the governor has not announced that he will run for president. Is there a reason behind this? Meta is laying off employees again because of cost savings. Big tech companies are attributing the decline in profits from last year to the bad economic climate. But Twitter, which is in the same economic climate, has seen a steady rise in economic conditions since it was taken over by Elon Musk. Over the past 2 days, Tucker Carlson has continued to expose clips from the January 6 surveillance videos. This has caused many Americans to begin to question whether the accounts that they have seen and heard from congressional Democrats and from the mainstream media over the past 2 years are true. Democrat Schumer wants Fox News and Rupert Murdoch to order a halt to the videos, but for the mainstream media, it's begging to have breaking news. Okay, let's get into it. After an investigative journalist revealed that the bombing of the Nord Stream gas pipeline in the Baltic Sea last year was led by the United States, a new theory has been revealed. According to the New York Times, there is a new explanation regarding the bombing. Swedish prosecutors said that investigators found traces of explosions in the damaged area of the pipeline, confirming deliberate sabotage. But who the perpetrators were has been inconclusive. In February, Pulitzer Prize winner Seymour Hersh published an article entitled "How America Took Out the Nord Stream Pipeline." He claims that the U.S. Navy destroyed the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline under the cover of the NATO maritime exercise Baltops 22. The evidence revealed in his article was reported on our membership channel. This week on our membership channel, we will also look at who is most likely to be responsible for the explosion in terms of technology, motivation, and opportunity. The New York Times reported on Tuesday that new intelligence that was viewed by U.S. officials suggests that the Nord Stream gas pipeline was blown up by a pro-Ukrainian group. But there's no evidence so far that Ukrainian authorities were involved. U.S. officials say that knowledge of the saboteurs is still limited and that the new information indicates that they only oppose Russian President Vladimir Putin. But the evidence does not specify data about the group's membership or about who directed or paid them to carry out the attack. And they found no evidence that the Ukrainian President Zelensky or key associates of his were involved, or that the saboteurs were acting at the direction of Ukrainian government officials. U.S. officials say that knowledge of the saboteurs is still limited, and they would not say much about the nature of the intelligence data that helped them draw the current inference or how it was obtained. They only said that no firm conclusion have been drawn on the matter. The New York Times claimed that the sabotage was not carried out with the aid of any British or American nationals. Yet on March 7th, John Kirby, the spokesman for the National Security Council, offered guarded answers to questions about the reports. Kirby said that Germany, Sweden, and Denmark are still investigating the causes of the bombing. Kirby told reporters, "I'm just not going to get ahead of that investigative work." White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said much the same. Germany said on Tuesday that it had taken note of the New York Times report, but that its own investigation had not yet yielded results. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson both declined to comment on the New York Times report at a press conference in Stockholm. Zelensky's top aide Mihailo Podolyak said that Kiev was definitely not involved in the bombing and they have no idea what happened. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that Tuesday's media report underscored the need for Moscow to have its questions answered about what really happened. On February 8th, the Russian Foreign Ministry said that the U.S. needed to explain its role in the Nord Stream gas pipeline explosion, and the ministry called for an international investigation. Zakharova also accused those who are responsible for leaking the information to the media because they want to divert public attention away from a proper investigation. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell participated in a hearing before the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs on Tuesday. The subject of the hearing was the Federal Reserve's semi-annual monetary policy report that was released last Friday. Powell reiterated in a prepared speech that the road to lower inflation could be bumpy. The Fed's terminal rate may be higher than previously projected. Powell said the latest economic data have come in stronger than expected, which suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates is likely to be higher than previously anticipated. Recent U.S. data show that the downward spiral of inflation has receded. However, the economic and employment data have also continued to exceed expectations. The unemployment rate fell to a 53-year low of 3.4% in January. Powell warned lawmakers that the Fed's inflation-fighting campaign isn't over. Tighter monetary policy will be adopted in the future in order to slow economic growth. Powell said that the historic record warns against premature easing of policy and that the Fed will stick to it until the end of the Great Success. At the time of Powell's speech, the market was generally optimistic that the central bank could curb inflation without putting the economy in trouble. However, after his speech was made public, stocks fell sharply and Treasury yields jumped. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis began a book tour this week. For his new book, The Courage to Be Free, outsiders are hosting the book tour. Meanwhile, the official opening of his campaign has not yet been announced, neither has the office that he will be seeking been announced. DeSantis will make 2 stops this week in Iowa. Iowa is important to the presidential contender with its early primary caucuses. DeSantis may also make a stop in New Hampshire, which also has an early primary. The Florida governor has other activities that lead people to believe that he is interested in running for president. He has been meeting with big donors and he has been receiving their patronage. Also, his campaign team has not been disbanded and he has been paid by the Republican Party. So why hasn't he announced his candidacy? He says that he cares about Florida's legislative session, which began March 7th and runs through May 5th. But there's another, perhaps more important reason. Florida law requires him to resign as governor if he runs for another office. For the past 2 decades, Florida lawmakers have gone back and forth on this issue. When then Governor Charlie Crist sought the vice presidency nomination in 2008, they relaxed the restriction. But in 2018, they changed it back to the current rule. The resign to run law was designed to avoid costly special elections. Lawmakers in the Republican-controlled legislature are considering loosening the rule, especially after the November midterm elections, but no bill has yet been introduced to relax the law again. Meta is planning a new round of layoffs with thousands of employees to be cut as soon as this week. The world's largest social networking company laid off 13% of its workforce, or about 11,000 employees, in November of last year. Last month, the Wall Street Journal noted that Meta was in the midst of an organizational restructuring and downsizing plan to flatten the organization. CEO Mark Zuckerberg has proposed a new approach to improve efficiency, asking company executives to write code, design, or do research. They must become individual contributors instead of just giving orders, otherwise they'll be fired. However, the new round of layoffs was due to financial pressures and had nothing to do with their flattening of the organization. Meta's advertising revenue has slowed, and it's shifting its focus to the metaverse, which is a virtual reality platform. The company has been asking executives and vice presidents to make lists of employees who can be fired. Meta employees say that anxiety among colleagues has been heightened recently. Some employees are concerned about whether they will receive their bonuses scheduled for this month or if they will lose their jobs early. However, the reformed Twitter is now slowly escaping its financial woes. Elon Musk said on Tuesday that Twitter has a chance of achieving positive cash flow in the next quarter. Musk revealed that Twitter has reduced its 2023 non-debt spending from an estimated $4.5 billion to $1.5 billion, thanks to a 40% cut in its cloud service costs and because of the closure of a data center. In addition, Twitter has laid off thousands of employees. In fact, Musk's Twitter had previously faced much greater difficulties than Zuckerberg's Facebook. Musk inherited Twitter's previous debt when he bought the company last year. The company faced annual interest payments of about $1.5 billion after Musk took over Twitter. Twitter was hit by a massive decline in advertising. Musk noted that some of the decrease was due to cyclical changes in spending, while others were due to political reasons. Musk said at a Morgan Stanley event on Tuesday that Democrats and Republicans now trust Twitter to the same degree. Instead, Twitter is doing better than ever. The Twitter platform had 253 million profitable daily active users in the fourth quarter of last year. This is according to a slideshow that was shown at the network's conference. The release of some videos from January 6, 2021 have sparked a new national attention. So what is the truth about the so-called Capitol invasion? After Fox News host Tucker Carlson's first broadcast special on the video that aired March 6, the mainstream narrative of January 6 has begun to crumble. There are more questions now about the truth of what really happened on that day. Until Tucker Carlson released the videos, the public had only limited access to them. Most of these videos were hidden under judicial protection orders. Even defense attorneys in the January 6 criminal cases have complained that the government has failed to disclose the videos and other evidence that is favorable to their clients, which is required by the Supreme Court ruling. With Tucker Carlson's revelations, it's estimated that defense attorneys' calls for exculpatory evidence are likely to increase in the coming weeks and months. Here are a few of the most impactful issues raised by this video. The January 6 evacuation of the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives went horribly wrong. In Carlson's second Capitol video special, he tells the story of U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Carrick Johnson. On January 6, the Assistant Capitol Police Chief could not be reached. The command center was also silent, so the Lieutenant Johnson did not know how to proceed with the evacuation. Johnson told the Epoch Times that there was no response from anybody at the command center. Johnson could only make what he thought was the right decision to evacuate. This was based on his own judgment, so he continued to direct the evacuation of the House. Johnson said in the broadcast that he would accept any disciplinary action for going forward with the evacuation. The command center's silence caused the loss of valuable time that might otherwise have prevented protester Ashley Babbitt from being shot and killed. Johnson was suspended from USCP, and he was later charged with rule violations. This included misconduct for wearing a Trump MAGA hat and for working with Oath Keepers to rescue officers. Another issue that raised concerns was how the QAnon shaman got into the Capitol. Security video from the Capitol shows that Capitol Police were leading the QAnon shaman around the building, and they were allowing him to enter the U.S. Senate, where he posed at the podium and gave a speech. There is also the issue of police abuse of force. Metropolitan Police declared that all of its use of force on January 6 was justified, but from the published video, it is clear that this is not the case. Body cam footage from several Metropolitan Police Department officers shows that Metropolitan Police Department officer Daniel Thau dropped at least 4 protesters with a taser, tossed uncounted explosive munitions into the tightly packed crowds, directed high-velocity pepper spray, and fired a 40-millimeter shell from a munition launcher into the crowd. This officer was faced by a protesting population that did not have weapons. Use of force expert Stan Kephart said that crowd control grenades, rubber bullets, crowd dispersal shells, and chemicals were used by police on January 6. Ironically, the police themselves were actually frightened by the weapons that they used. A gas grenade that was fired by MPD officer Rich Coury misfired and it landed in the middle of a group of supervisors and officers. The resulting gas cloud sent officers fleeing in all directions and it weakened a nearby perimeter. We will continue to report on these events in our future episodes. Tucker Carlson said in the crowd that day, a small number of people were hooligans who committed vandalism. The overwhelming majority, though, were peaceful. This is clearly a different narrative than what the mainstream media portrayed, and it is a different conclusion than the one made by Democrats in Congress. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on March 7th called on Fox News to block host Tucker Carlson from airing additional never-before-disclosed footage from January 6, 2021. Schumer blamed these videos for the problems that were caused, and he accused Tucker Carlson for manipulating his viewers and treating the American people and American democracy with such disdain. Schumer added in a written statement that Fox News and Fox Corporation Chairman Rupert Murdoch must order Tucker Carlson to stop. The American public should tell Schumer that if what Tucker Carlson is doing is manipulating the audience, then we are more than willing to be manipulated. And if what Congress is doing by hiding the facts is respectful of democracy and the American people, then we would rather not have that respect. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. We've also heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore from YouTube. So please follow us on Telegram, Gab, Getter, True Social, and on Ganjing World for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.